Welcome back to Uptown Charlotte. ACC tip-off for the ladies rolls on as we get into the afternoon portion of our show. We got a whole lot left for you. We go until 5 o'clock today. Coming up this afternoon, Kenny Brooks going to join us on the set here. The head man at Virginia Tech, Sanaya Rivers, Madison Hayes will be upstairs with the ladies, and Deasia Fair and Kyra Wood as well at 11:45. So a lot to look forward to. But how about those Hokies coming off an incredible season? Let's get to know them a little deeper. They had arguably their best season in program history last year, 31-5, winning the ACC tournament and reaching the Final Four as the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Two-time ACC Player of the Year. She is here, Liz Kitley. So is her fellow friend, roommate, teammate, you name it, they're besties. First team All-ACC member Georgia Amor. She's back too. They'll look to lead the Hokies on another deep run in April, and they'll do so if they continue to hit from deep. The Hokies led the ACC in three-point field goal percentage and were second in field goal percentage and points differential, while their defense held opponents to just over 57 points per game. Coach, you like what you hear when I read off those statistics?
I did. The
Good.
defensive part really makes me proud. Really makes me proud.
Good to see you. It's always good to see you.
It's great to be here.
We're inching closer now to the actual basketball season. What's this time like between when you start for fall and now coming to this, and then you're just anxiously awaiting that first game?
Well, the best part is you're still undefeated, so everybody's still excited about everything that's going on. But, you know, after you've had like 20 practices and you're playing against each other, sometimes if your offense is really good, you don't know if it's because your defense is bad, or if your offense is bad, is your defense good. So you're just really ready to play against someone else. But our kids, you know, especially led by the big three, they're very professional, and they understand each and every day they have to go out and try to get better.
I want to do a combo here. We got Muffet's hanging out with us too. I want to go actually with both of you. Muffet, you've put together national championship programs. Getting there as far as the Final Four and eventually winning it is one thing. Kenny, you experienced it last year. How difficult, Muffet, is it the following year when all of a sudden people just get used to, oh, we're going to have great success? And you've had it, you both obviously, great success. How difficult, though, is it staying there and knowing, hey, it doesn't matter if you're playing roast beef A&M on a Thursday night or it's UConn on Sunday, you're catching everybody's best shot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. I'll tell you, getting there is hard, as you know. Getting back there is even harder. And the problem is, I think, with the expectations. Expectations create all the problems. The media's got an expectation. The fans have an expectation. Even the players sometimes have an expectation. So I thought it was important to me to say, like, first of all, these are the only people whose opinion I care about. They're right here in my circle. I don't care what the media is saying. I don't care what anybody else is talking about. Here's what we have to do. We didn't talk about winning and getting back to the Final Four. We talked about fulfilling our potential. What do we have to do to be good every single day? The consistency that we need every single day. Because I stayed in my bubble too. I mean, I was off social media. I could tweet and run. I'm not reading what you say about it because I didn't really care. But trying to get your players off of it, that's the really hard part.
And Kenny, you're a cerebral guy. We've had great conversations with you above basketball. It's about life. What did you do when you said, all right, listen, it was a great year. I got a lot of great players coming back. That's now rearview mirror. What did you do in terms of the balance to understand here's the foundation that we're building on for 23-24?
Well, I think it started a little bit before that, Mark. You know, when we got to the Final Four, I talked to a lot of coaches who had been there, and they said, enjoy it. You know, really enjoy it because it's hard. What you accomplished was very hard. We got there, we did enjoy the experience. I thought our kids represented great. The moment wasn't too big for them. And then afterwards, okay, we celebrated, we enjoyed it because you have to. If you're immediately going to the next thing, you're not stopping and smelling the roses. You're not understanding your accomplishment. And I think understanding the accomplishment, we're not going to just say, hey, we're going to be in Cleveland next year because we were in Dallas last year. Okay, that's a discredit to what we just accomplished. That's a major accomplishment, but the kids understand what it takes to get there. As Coach said, the expectations from the outside. You know, I can go in Kroger right now, and then people are telling me they've made reservations for Cleveland, and I'm like, whoa, you know, whoa. But I think that is a discredit to, you know, what we actually had to go through last year to get to that point. So I think our kids, the veterans, understand that, and they know why we got there. They know it was hard work. It was a day-by-day process. You don't just snap your fingers and get there. It's a day-by-day process. So when we walk into the gym now, no one has a hangover of the Final Four last year. The only thing that we noticed is we put up a little bit of memorabilia around, to let outside people know we went to the Final Four. But other than that, it's a day-by-day process, and these kids, led by Liz, Georgia, and Kayla, understand that, so everyone else will follow suit.
If we focus on Liz Kitley, because she's here, she's the two-time defending ACC Player of the Year. How does Liz get better? Simply put.
She does. I had to have a talk with her and Georgia right after the Final Four. We took a week off, and they were on me. Hey, let's work. And they got frustrated probably about into May. And I told them, I said, you're not going to make these huge jumps like you did from your freshman year to your sophomore year to your junior year. Now you have to work on little things. And they've learned that training their brain as well as training their body is just as important. So now after every practice, I think they have FOMO, fear of missing out. Yep. So if one will text me, the other one will text me, and they want to watch film. So we have a routine. The next day we watch film of the previous practice, so they could understand time, tempo, and not just, am I making this huge jump in my game? They've made those jumps. So now they have to do the little things. And we watch a lot of film. With Liz, she's working on tempo and, slowing the process down. She's going to get double teamed. Right. We moved her around in a lot of different places, a la Dirk Nowitzki, where it's more difficult to try to double team her. She actually can shoot the 17-footer fadeaway now. And she makes it with regularity to the point where it amazes me. And so she's very comfortable with being uncomfortable. So whatever I throw at her, it takes her a day. She pretty much masters it, and now it's just a matter of putting it all together.
Again, you got two great coaches here, so it's always fun, I think, to kind of pick brains just to see who do you steal material from? And Muffet, I'm going to ask you that same question, too.
I think, none of us invented the game. And so a lot of times you'll see something that will resonate towards your group. You can't just go out and say, hey, that was a great play. The coach drew up. Maybe I don't have the personnel to do so. But we look at a lot of actions. I look at a lot of NBA actions, WNBA actions, international actions. And I have some kids that, I do a lot of their workouts. So if that play calls for a certain type of shot, then we will go out and we'll work on it to see if I can implement it into my playbook. And with Kayla and Liz and Georgia, they're basketball junkies. They know everything that goes on with anything that's basketball. They're constantly watching basketball. So they'll send me stuff. Did you see that move? Did you see this shot? Did you see that play? Hey, such and such ran a play like we run. And that's where we get a lot of our stuff. And obviously it has to be ever changing, because when you come to the ACC, like I did 8 years ago, it was like, okay, in the CAA, it was 2 good players, and the other 3, you were like, okay, try to beat me. You come to the ACC and you play a Notre Dame, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, the 4th wheel, it might be Jackie Young, who's going to be the first pick in the WNBA draft, and you're like, oh, this is wild. But so many great coaches in our league, you have to stay on your toes to try to change things throughout the year, because it's just too much technology and too many great coaches who understand what you're going to do.
And Muffet, what'd you do?
I borrowed from everyone. And you used to go to clinics and you'd come back and you'd just like, oh, we're going to run this and that. And like you said, you didn't even know if your personnel could handle it. Then I got a little bit smarter. I said, no, I'm going to go see Tom Izzo at Michigan State and figure out why they rebound so well. Talked to Beeline about his 1-3-1 and would spend some time with the Celtics, just watch some of the quick hitters that they were running. I will go anywhere. I try to watch as many practices as I can and just learn some little things, even about the way they practice, because I was not an assistant, 2 years. I really didn't get that chance to learn a lot, so it's fun to watch what everybody else is doing.
And don't you laugh when you hear people go, well, they always win 25, 30 games. You know what? They just roll the ball out, and again, you hear it all the time. You're like, man, you have no idea how hard it is to coach.
The work that goes on behind the scenes. This summer, obviously, you spend a lot of time away from the basketball court, too, but doing some hoops also overseas.
Oh, gosh.
So you guys, I know I talked to you a little bit about it when we were sidelined for the football game a couple weeks ago. You said it was the best trip you guys ever had was to Greece. What was that like this summer, getting to do that with your team and play some basketball as well?
All boxes checked.
Yeah.
What you want to accomplish. Obviously, we have some veterans, but we were trying to incorporate a lot of new players, whether it was transfers or whether it was freshmen. And it was a great opportunity for us to have the 10 practices leading up to it. We went to Athens. We flew into Athens. Beautiful city. Just understanding and learning about Greek mythology, the ancient ruins. I love the way our kids really, engulf themselves into the educational part of it. It wasn't just, hey, let's go to the beach. They were really locked in and focused on what was happening there. the way they bonded. The games were okay. We got to see some kids run up and down the floor and see how they would react in certain situations. We won very handily, but it was the camaraderie that they built. You know, we went the last 8 days, we stayed on a resort. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, you get to go to a resort, but what they accomplished while they were there, they bonded. You know, I would walk down, me and my wife would walk down towards the beach at night, and I look over, and Liz and Georgia and Kayla, they had the rest of the freshmen there just eating dinner, talking. And they never had like these pods where they were always, this one pod was together. They were all learning each other. And we came back a better basketball team because of that. And as we led into, you know, first day of practices, we were on an accelerated pace because they had those 10 practices leading up to it. They know each other. And our biggest thing right now is trying to get to learn each other because, you know, the transfer portal is not plug and play. You know, you can bring somebody in who averaged 14 points a game somewhere else, but they have to learn your system and your style, what's their new role, and everyone has to buy into that. And I think this really accelerated that pace. Kids had a better understanding of who they were, what they meant to the team, how we were going to do things. And then needless to say, Greece is beautiful. You know, it was so nostalgic. I'm on the boat. The water was as clear and as blue as you've ever seen. I love watching sharks on TV, but my first question was, are there any sharks here? And the place was so beautiful. I'm floating in the Mediterranean, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a care in the world. And I look over to the right, and I've got my two-time All-American jumping off of a cliff. And I'm like, what am I doing? But it was so beautiful, very well spent. You know, we had tremendous donors who helped us out along the way, but we grew as a basketball family, and I think it's really going to help us out a lot.
Coach, awesome. I can answer that question about the Sharks. Absolutely,
they said no. They said they're too salty. That's all I needed.
I'm going to tell you why that's nonsense. We did a family vacation in Turks and Caicos. I'm afraid of the ocean. Water is as crystal clear as you can get. I asked the same question to locals. Oh, no, man, we don't have sharks down here. A week later, a person lost their leg.
Oh, gosh.
It's the same place. And I saw this story. I said, I want to go back to Turks and Caicos just to find the local. Dude, what are you talking about the sharks?
Oh, God.
Of course there's sharks out there.
Well,
it's still beautiful.
I know, it's beautiful, beautiful. And our kids are daredevils, you know, between the water rides, jumping up. They were jumping off of a cliff, and but they had a wonderful time. And when you ask them, they say it's the best trip they've taken. And it's actually, it was a recruiting tool. And we knew we were going to Greece, and I think that helped lure Liz and Kayla back, you know, to do that. So
I'd probably come back too.
Yeah.
That would be
Very well spent.
Before we let you go, one of my favorite things is you incorporate your kids in everything you do. I know your youngest daughter's now playing for you. She's the last one to come through the program, but also working here today is Kendall.
Yeah.
And she works for the ACC. She's bossing you around, showing you where to go in all these rooms today.
I think she likes it. Yeah, she's getting a little bit overzealous
in her
role. Yeah. I'm like, why are you here? Somebody else should be here. But no, it's tremendous opportunity for her, and I've loved watching her grow. She aspires, you know, just wants to make a difference in women's sports, and for her to be able to be on this side of it and learn as much as she can, I think only going to help her. But it just the opportunities that are presented to women, very well deserved. It's something I always champion for, and for her to be able to take advantage of it is great.
Coach, can't wait to see your team again. I mean, last year was such a magical run, but again, that's rearview mirror now. It's the next challenge. And you got some big games right around here, too. We're going to get right into it.
Can't wait. We'll be there live. Pumped.
We look forward to it.
I thank you guys very much for all you guys do.
Thanks, Coach.
And Muffet, you're going to hang with us, right? You got another segment?
Yeah. We're going to talk a little ACC, SEC challenge this year. Dive into that.
But when we come back, the NC State ladies go up.